the way that the track is at the moment also. And we've got the American team, Big Ed Wilbur, Rodney Combs, Mike Clyde and Johnny Pearson here tonight to do battle with a top-line Australian team. I would say the best Australian team that has been to Wollongong City Speedway to do battle with the Americans. The team captain Gordon Smee, New South Wales champion Graham Lilford, John Cartwright, our own John Cartwright, and Jimmy Dyer as the green flag waves for Division 2 Production Sedans, Heat 1. Phil McPhee's on the pole line, but it's Ray Lannery who tries to round him up in the 23 car around the outside. Things still a little bit squeezy as they all feel out the track. Most of these drivers have been out and done a little bit of driving around, but basically wheel packing. They weren't going at racing speeds, and some of them are still having a little bit of trouble adapting to the track surface, which is quite damp at the moment. At the end of lap 1, the leader is Ray Lannery in the 23 car, followed by Ian McPhee. Number 87, Thompson, is the next one through in the Tirana, and he's holding up a whole field of hot ones at the moment, including that beautiful Bolwell-Nagari, number 5, Lee Smith. And Smith it is who tries to go around the outside of Thompson now and manages to do so, slips into third placing. In the meantime, McPhee has got by Lannery and has sewn up the lead. Don't forget this particular race, 10 laps of the race, the first 8 cars only to the feature. The rest of them will have to qualify if they can by way of the repechage. Smith has caught up with Lannery now and moving into second place very, very quickly in that beautiful Bolwell-Nagari, a really nice sounding motor car as he was out earlier on doing some warming up, and it sounded very, very nice indeed. 7 laps to go, and it's McPhee who holds an easy lead by virtue of the fact that the rest of the drivers are tippy-toeing around just a little still, but it's still Lee Smith in the lead. In second place behind McPhee. The next one through is Lannery, then Thompson in 87, who's coming under the attentions of Clive Turner in the Corvette, and it looks like Turner has got by now. And Gary Rook will be the next one to give Thompson a hard time in the 313 car from Maruya. Ian Duckett has planted the car firmly into the wall in turn 3, and it looks like we might have our first stoppage of the night. Yes, the lights come on just as Smith was about to go into the lead of the race. They were going just down past the straight, and Smith had planted the foot very, very quickly when he realised the red lights were coming on, and I think he was hoping that he might be able to catch the whole lot napping there and get past McPhee, but it wasn't to be. The race will go back to the previous lap, and Smith will be relegated back to second position. Ian Duckett in the Mini rather firmly wedged into the boards up in turn 3, and it'll take the tow truck a couple of seconds to get him out. In the meantime, the rest of the field will have to reform and wait for a big day across the start and finishing line at the fall of the green flag. Margie Turner languishing down the back of the field. Margie, the unquestioned star of the show in Division 2 sedans, with a fine second place in the feature race last meeting here, and troubled by a supercharger that wasn't working properly, a back wheel that was playing up after copping a huge biff from John Wise's Centura, and a car that burst into flames actually as across the start and finishing line, and Margie was forced literally by the officials to bail out of the car very quickly as soon as the race was over so that they could put the fire out. But anyway, the fire's about to begin again because the green flag waves, and it's McPhee who heads for the lead, but Lee Smith guns the big Nagari down onto the pole line in front of McPhee and takes over the lead. It's still Thompson back in fourth place, Lannery in third. Clive Turner has to do the hard work again to get past Thompson because he passed him on the lap when Duckett crashed, but he does that well and also moves up to the inside of Lannery and may go from fifth place into third if he can keep his nose down on the line and force Lannery out wide, which he's done. Thompson spins and cops a biff in the tail as well on turn 4 from Gary Rook, and that brings Gary Rook, the ex-motorcycle short circuit star, up into fourth position. Lannery, the early pace setter, has slipped back to fifth. Car obviously not handling nearly as well as he would like it to be, and he's going to come under the attentions very, very shortly of Ron Murray in the Patterson's Transport Tirana, and as I speak, Murray goes by him into fifth position, and the race leader has already got the 6th lap to go board in front here from the stewards, and that's Lee Smith in the Bolwell Nagari. The Mortar Roofing car, sponsored by Mortar Roofings, and a very, very fast car. First time I've had the opportunity of seeing this one. Lannery just cops a bit from car number 45, and Lannery going backwards through the field at the moment after being the early pace setter. Thompson in second place at the moment behind Smith is actually lapped because he was involved in that accident on turn 4 about 2 laps ago. Second place is actually being held by Phil McPhee, although very narrowly now from Clive Turner, who bridges the gap to him very, very quickly. Turner has been having a lot of trouble with the diff in this Corvette, and it's been screwing the tail shaft around and doing all sorts of strange things, but he's hopeful that he would have it going well tonight for a good showing in front of the big crowd that he expected to be here to witness the Americans, and certainly he's not disappointed because the Corvette's going very, very nicely tonight, and hopefully he will pick up second place fairly shortly. In the meantime, Rook has been caught napping because Ron Murray has caught him and passed him around the outside, and that takes Murray into 4th position. In the meantime, the race leader, Lee Smith, is just running away with this one now and has probably about a half a lap lead on Phil McPhee, who's still holding up this long crocodile behind him of Clive Turner and Ron Murray and Gary Rook. Protest flag being shown to the driver of car number 45 for some somewhat over-vigorous driving, and Ron Murray looks like he might be the one that might do the best out of this. He tries the outside passing move on Clive Turner, but Clive's not going to have any of that, and the white flag has been shown to Lee Smith as he goes across the start and finishing line this time, so there's 1 lap to go, and if Clive Turner wants second, well, he may have to do something very desperate very, very quickly. McPhee's in second, then it's Turner, then it's Murray, then it's Rook. First 8 cars transfer to the final, and coming up on the tail of the lap cars now is car number 5, Lee Smith, and he wins very, very easily indeed, as it turns out, from, well, we don't know who he's going to win from yet, because that dice for second place is still unresolved, but it looks like it's going to be McPhee, and in fact it is. McPhee, then Turner, then Murray, then Gary Rook in 313, then Margie Turner in 15, and Ray Lannery, who was, as I say, the early pace setter, went backwards through the field in the middle stages there with the car not handling at all.
Yes, results as called, and no place on the event. First place there in the Maruya car number 5 was Lee Smith. Second place went to South Coast car number 11, Phil McPhee, and third place to the Wollongong car 4, Clive Turner.
4 drivers in the front should, the winner should come out of those 4 without any doubt at all. Wise on the outside, Nicastri sitting on the pole. Puckeridge behind it had a checkered run last meeting, not very successful, got biffed a couple of times and ended up with a car that looked pretty second-hand actually, but certainly back to its Spartan trim again tonight, looking good. And the other driver that where the winner should come from maybe is Dick Pettit, and the driver in 5th place also needs watching, Trevor Watson in the near Mr. Watson's Wollongong Auto Records number 6 Tirana, the brand new car that debuted here at the last meeting. Well, it's Wise that holds up the freight train at the moment. Nicastri tries for the big dive down the inside. Wise is wise to that and shuts the gate very, very firmly, and if Nicastri wants to get round, he'll have to go better than that, but in the meantime, Wise drifts out, trying to hold the pole line, which he was successful in doing, but missed out on the run into turn 4 then, and presented Nicastri with an armchair ride through, and is now back in 3rd position. Puckeridge is in 4th, Puckeridge is in 2nd, and Pettit has just slipped out of 4th placing into 5th. And Trevor Watson is the one that's got through. Okay, so it's Nicastri in the lead, Puckeridge in 2nd, Wise 3rd, Watson 4th. Pettit is driving all over the track. I don't know whether that's because he's trying to keep Ian Hunt behind him or because he's having handling problems, but certainly the Cortina doesn't look the best at all as it makes a right-hand turn towards the wall and nearly brings Ian Hunt unstuck in the process. The race leaders in turn 4, Fred Nicastri. 7 laps to go for Nicastri as he heads out Puckeridge. Wise, who was pole sitter or side pole sitter has got Wanson sitting right inside his boot at the moment, and he really can't do anything about these leaders at all. They're already lapping some tail enders, gives you some idea of just how quickly they are going. In the meantime, Pettit doesn't seem to be having any joy at all with that Cortina that just is not handling the somewhat slippery conditions tonight at all. The other one that doesn't seem to be adapted to the conditions well tonight too is Ian Hunt, who has slipped right back off Pettit now while looking good there a couple of laps ago. Okay, the race leader is Fred Nicastri up in turn 2 with Pettit in second. Third place is now Trevor Wanson in the Wollongong Auto Wreckers Tirana. He's got past Steve Wise now, who looks like he might be having a bit of an out night tonight after a very uncharacteristic slip off in the short straight in between turn 3 and turn 4. And he goes by in the Centura now, and Pettit back in 5th place is well and truly out of it. Nicastri having some trouble getting by, and Wanson tried to get the inside split there but got held up by the 102 car, and Puckridge still retains the second placing. Puckridge looking good now. Nicastri covering the pole line reasonably well, but also leaving enough space there for Puckridge to think that he probably has a chance. The lap traffic is going to be what's going to make things very, very interesting. There are a lot of slow cars in front of the leaders at the moment as they head up to turn 3 and 4. And in the meantime, Ian Hunt has got back on terms with Pettit, but we'll watch for the leaders because that's where all the action is at the moment. The blue flag being shown almost continuously now for these drivers as they are being hustled through by the race leaders. Wanson picked up Puckridge there and moved to second place. Car number 55 proceeds to spin in turn 2, which is the second time he's done it. Puckridge gets hopelessly boxed in behind car number 3 and car number 55 and lets Steve Wise back through into third position. So the race order has changed except for the leader, who's still Fred Nicastri. Second place is now Wanson. The red flag is out because of a stoppage. 2 cars into the fence in the back straight. The number 55 Valiant and car number 69 wisely pulls up behind him rather than be involved in the accident. So at the time of that stoppage, the race leader was Nicastri. Second place was Wanson, who managed to get through into the lead, into the second placing, had displaced Tony Puckridge and done it rather well, and then Wise was rather lucky to get the second placing because Puckridge had got boxed in behind some slow traffic there and was left with nowhere to go, and Wise said, well, there's a space around the outside, I'll take it, thank you, and he did. A green flag is thrown, and it's Nicastri who bounces straight out with the lead. Puckridge in second. Wanson looking for a way around the outside in third. Now switches to the inside, puts the pressure right down on Puckridge. Nicastri slips out wide, as does Puckridge, and Wanson says thank you very much, and goes into second place with 2 laps to go as they come past the start and finishing line this time. So now the order is Nicastri, Wanson, Puckridge and Wise. And I don't think Trevor Wanson is going to stay in second position for very long. Tap, tap, tap on the inside rear panel he goes, letting Fred Nicastri know that he's there. Wise is having diabolical handling problems with the Centura in the back straight. Here comes Wanson again to tap away at the rear of Nicastri's car. One mistake by Nicastri here and Wanson is going to be gone. Nicastri drifts out wide. Wanson takes down on the inside line as the white flag comes out with 1 lap to go. Side by side in turn 1, but the advantage will go to Wanson because inside line is faster. And after leading the race for nearly the whole distance, Nicastri slips back into second place. Puckridge looks like he's content with third at this stage of proceedings and will transfer to the final, of course, as the checkered flag comes out for Trevor Wanson in car number 6. Second place is going to go to number 81, Nicastri. Then Puckridge will be the next one through, then Wise, Hooper in 55, then Pettit, and then car number 3 would be the last of those crew, and that is Greg Humphreys in the Doherty Transport Tirana. So that's the way that we saw the Standard Saloons, Heat 1, event number 2 on the program, and we'll cross to Frank Carmody for a race result, although not a time, as we ask you to put your hands together for
in the number 6 Tirana. Second place to Fred Nicastri in the number 81 Cabby Auto Wreckers Tirana, and third place to the Cortina number 5 of Tony Puckridge.
Benny Visser and Peter Calandis' BP service station from Minto, Tirana. Not quite sure who's driving that car tonight, actually, whether it is Peter Calandis or Benny Visser. We'll have to find out about that and see just which of the two drivers it is that's driving that car. But anyway, we'll no doubt find out fairly shortly. Somebody hopefully will tell us. Barry Keynes is driving the Datsun turbocharged replica, Datsun 1600 at the back of the field there, slotting into position 7. And beside him a new car, or a car that I haven't seen before anyway, Eric Swire. That's listed as an XY Falcon, but I'm sure it's not an XY Falcon. That looks decidedly like a VW to me. But we don't have... yes, we do. Yes, we do. Bob Maskell in the Mulder VW, of course, and the Wollongong car number 6. Car number 32 has decided that it doesn't want to play and is lurking down on the infield, and they may get one more lap before the starter decides that it's time for them to go. He certainly doesn't look like he's going to take any further part in this event, or indeed any part of the event at all. Well, that gets you down to about position 8, which I think we should be fairly satisfied with at this stage. And we'll see. In the back straight now, just about ready for a start. The tow truck going down to take care of car number 32. Just mainly to remove him from an area where he might be in danger, pardon me. And if you can see our commentary position from where you are, you can see we've got two big Australian flags hanging out the front of the commentary box tonight. Fearless Frank Carmody went out there and taped them up with duct tape, and I'm glad it's him and not me. The green flag waves for the Division 2 sedans, and away we go. It's Hales in the lead, although narrowly. Borg tries to round him up around the outside, still sticking at the outside line is Borg, very bravely indeed, and it doesn't quite come off. Vidler's the next one through, and then Maskell is really having a blinder in the VW, coming through from about 8th place on the grid, if I remember correctly, and he's already up into 4th with the car blowing heaps and heaps of smoke. I was about to say steam, but of course it's not. He elbows Vidler out of the way and goes up into 3rd position. Vidler somewhat out of sorts with that, I don't blame him. Goes back a placing and comes under the attention of Craig Head fairly shortly, with either Benny Visser or Peter Calandis, the next one through in the Tirana from Minto. But it's still Mickey Hales doing it nicely out in front from Borg, John Borg, we think that is. It's just listed as J Borg, so we'll say that it's John, in the Street Rod Accessories car number 74, and he's a very, very close 2nd place, as he has been since the race began. Mickey Hales in the Dave Hales Automotive car, still doing it nicely, but now Maskell moves down onto the pole line and will try and force Borg one section wide, and looks like he's done that successfully and moves up into 2nd place. It's still Visser in 3rd, it's still Vidler in 3rd, in 4th place, then Craig Head, then Visser, as Ross Torrey makes a late charge up through the field in the Cabby Auto Wreckers RX3. The VW moving through, blowing heaps and heaps of smoke, and in fact I think may have received the black flag. Yes, he has. So he pulls off. We probably won't be very happy about that after taking the lead in the race, but that hands it back to Mickey Hales, who gets so excited about the whole business that he goes grass cutting on the infield and lets John Borg through into the lead, and also lets Ray Vidler through, so he goes from 1st place to 3rd in the time that it took me to say it. Craig Head is still in 4th position, where he's been for most of the race. The next one through is Visser, and then Ross Torrey and Barry Keynes. One very, very hot VW sitting on the infield there, and I don't mean in terms of modifications, I mean in terms of temperature. John Borg doing it nicely out in front now, with Vidler in 2nd place. 3rd place is Mickey Hales. Visser slips through Craig Head to pick up the 4th placing and relegates Head down 1 place. 3 laps to go as they went past the judge this time. And Barry Keynes with a beautiful repaint job, and I think probably even a repanel job on the Datsun 1600. Looks like he's reluctant to swap paintwork with the rest of the field and damage the look of the car again. He certainly hasn't made any impression on Ross Torrey, but then again, Ross Torrey hasn't made any impression in the cabbie car on Benny Visser in 4th place, or on Craig Head, who's in 5th. The characteristic puff of flame from the exhaust pipe of the RX3 shows that it is indeed turbocharged. As the race leader, John Borg, number 74, moves up now on the tail of car number 9 as the white flag comes out with 1 lap to go. Car number 9 does the right thing, moves off the line to let the rest of the field go through, and that's Craig Turner in the General Brakes Monaro, and he certainly did the right thing by the rest of the field then. So it looks like it's going to be John Borg who's going to pick up the win in this one, and he takes around turn 4 for the last time, and the checkered flag waves, and he wins from Vidler on car number 40. Hales is the next one through, then Visser on car number 89, then Craig Head in car number 60. The next one through after that was Ross Torrey and Barry Keynes, who had their own battle all the way through that race and held each other up very successfully so that neither of them could go out after the leaders. So it's a good win there to the number 74 car of John Borg in the Street Rod Accessories car. And as we cross to Frank Carmody for the race results and the race time, give you John.
Time on this one, 3 minutes 59.1 seconds. 3 minutes 59.1 seconds. And that averages out to a fairly slow 23.91. So race time 3:59.1, average 23.91. The placings as called. First of all, the car number 74, John Borg.
4th place on the grid's car number 28, the Wollongong Auto Wreckers Tirana, also entered by, or driven by, Ken Marsh. Johnny Hotchkiss, the club secretary down the front chute at the moment, just giving the guys the warm-up and telling them where he wants them to be. And they look like they're pretty well in position at the moment. The driver to watch will be car number 6, Trevor Wanson, in the Mitchell & Wanson's Tirana, because that car, very, very new, looks like it certainly has the goods at the moment. It sometimes takes a while to work the bugs out of a new car, but Trevor seems to have worked the oracle with that one very, very quickly indeed. And the car is going nicely and very, very quickly. Robbie Boyle on the outside of pole. And number 55 takes it around for another lap, we believe. Not quite sure about about whether that'll be Alan Cormick in the Valiant. Not quite sure what he's going to do, but some backing and filling going on at the moment, and that moves Ian Hunt up into grid position number 3. We understand that we have got a problem with a speaker at the moment, and we apologise for that. If you are in a position where it is a little difficult to hear, then we respectfully ask you to see if you could move closer to a speaker that is working. As you'd appreciate, once the racing gets underway, it is a little difficult to make running repairs, and if you're having trouble hearing, we would like you to be able to hear what's going on, and if we could perhaps suggest that you move a little either to the left or to the right, you should be able to get into a position where you can hear one of the sets of speakers at least. Our apologies for that. We hope to have it rectified before the next meeting. Well, it'll be Humphreys and Boyle to lead out from 1 and 2, Hunt and Monson from 3 and 4, then Marsh, and it looks like Pettit, I think, on the outside in the Cortina. Can't quite see from here, but I'm sure that that's the colour scheme. Yes, it is. So they're the 6 flyers from the front as Boyle goes very, very wide, lets Wanson straight through and nips back in down onto the pole line in 4th place. Wanson cops the classic T-bone, nose to tail with Pettit. Marsh gets all mixed up with car number 55, Mick Hooper. Steve Wise also collects the back of Wanson's car. We've got a red light and back to square one for a complete restart of this race. As you said, Ian sustained probably a little bit more damage, certainly more damage to his pride than there is to the car, and that's good to see. And he'll be starting out of 4 with Hooper beside him, and it looks like Ian Hunt, who was one of the protagonists in that one, languishing right down to the back of the field. I didn't see a rear of flag board, but the stewards have obviously decided to send them around 1 lap more, and I think that might be because Hunt isn't in position yet.
Yeah, wrong, fellas, is the name of the game. The finger getting pointed at the number 7 car of Hunt. And the boys get told to bunch up that field, ready for the start. Good decision by the starter in that particular instance. They're all straggled out like Brown's cows, but I guess if they don't catch up this time, it'll come under the bad luck act. Okay, bunching up down the back chute, Phil.
Yeah, well, as I say, these standard sedans have certainly turned on some great racing for us over the last few fortnights here, and the heat racings have been fast and furious, and the feature races have been super. Some of the best racing we've seen has come from the standard sedans, but they're dragging the tail a little bit while the front six get the flyer, and the starter said, okay, well, if you want to hang about, I'll let the guys that want to go racing. And it's Humphreys who bounces straight out. Boyle does it better this time. Lost a lot of placings last time, but this time's doing it okay. It's Hooper that's holding up the freight train at the moment, with Wise in the Chrysler Centura moving up quickly around the outside of Pettit, but it's Humphreys in the lead from Wanson, then Hooper, then Boyle, Pettit and Wise, and they're crocodile fashion, strung out all the way around turn 4 and across the main straight. 1 lap down of the 10 scheduled for the journey, and it's Wanson still trying to find a way around Greg Humphreys in the Tirana, and Humphreys covering the pole line well, so Wanson says, okay, I'll try the outside and see what it's like. Mick Hooper says, all right, if you want to leave the space on the outside, I'll take the one on the inside, and moves in to try and join the challenge. 2 wide coming off turn 4 with Wanson down on the pole line now, and this time he might be able to force his way through Humphreys. Humphreys drifts out wide. Wanson tucks the tail in and is still in second position, even though that was probably the best chance that he's going to have for a couple of laps, because Humphreys will realise what he did and will probably try to make sure he doesn't do it again. It's Humphreys in the lead, out wide. This time Wanson gets through. Oh, a little bit of panel swapping there, but Humphreys forced to take the second placing now as Wanson goes through into the lead. Hooper's the next one through, then Boyle, then Pettit. Nicastri picking him up and mowing him down. I didn't even notice Fred Nicastri on that grid, so he must have been back beyond grid position 8. And oh, Hooper and Humphreys have a coming together, and it's Hooper wears the fence. Humphreys wears the front of Hooper's car, and we've got a red light.
And as they come around, looking good for the green flag again.
And it's Wanson to lead him out. Humphreys was obviously more sinned against than sinning, because those stewards have put him back in position 2. Robbie Boyle had the inside shot that time in the old HK Holden, and has moved away into second position with Dick Pettit on his tail. And the big improver is number 81, Fred Nicastri, in the Cabby Auto Wreckers car, who, as I said before, must have come from at least grid position 8, because I didn't even notice him in the lineup when the race first began. Wanson is having a cakewalk out in front as Boyle and Pettit and Nicastri argue over second place. And you couldn't have choreographed it better for Trevor Wanson, because he's got everything his own way at the moment without any problems at all. Plenty of daylight in front, no dirt on the goggles, and Pettit and Nicastri going at it hammer and tongs in position 2 are just leaving it for Trevor to pick it up as he wants. Number 55 loops it again in turn 2. And brings on the red, and unfortunately as soon as the red came on, as so often happens, he got the car started again and moved back into position. So we'll have a restart again of this particular event with 6 laps to go.
Looking good for another restart, Phil.
Yes, with 6 laps to go, and hopefully we'll get the last 6 laps down without any more stoppages. The red light's flashing, the green light's displayed, and it's Wanson to lead them out. Pettit has made it through into second placing now with Nicastri in third. And 4th placing is still Robbie Boyle, with Puckeridge and Hunt arguing over it in the 2 other Cortinas in the race. Nicastri having a big paint swap with Dick Pettit, and Pettit comes off second best out of that one. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if there is a flag displayed in the direction of... Yes, and black flag displayed to Fred Nicastri. Obviously the stewards in their wisdom felt that that piece of driving was overly vigorous, and so he's been excluded from the event.
Combs, will he be unbeaten again? We're about to see. Next event after this as the green flag comes down.
Wanson in the lead where we've expected to see him. The old green Tirana was fast, and it looks like the red car, the brand new car, totally new in every respect, has been sorted almost straight away. It's just amazing. That man has a touch with building Tiranas, there's no doubt about it. And that car is new, just out of the crate, so to speak, and already a winner. Second place is being held by Ian Hunt, then Tony Puckridge is the next one through, and then number 3 following him through is Phil Bray in the Ned Kelly's Pizza Parlour from Albion Park in the Cortinas. So we've got Cortinas running 2nd, 3rd and 4th at the moment, and a lone LC Series Tirana leading the pack. Out in front, Trevor Wanson in the Mitchell & Wanson's Wollongong Auto Wreckers Tirana. 5 laps to go, can you believe it? Still half race distance. Never mind, the field fairly well strung out now, and let's see if any of these Cortinas can separate themselves out from this private dice that they're having for second placing and get out after Trevor Wanson. If they're going to do that, they'll need to do it fairly quickly because Wanson is waltzing away with it at the moment. Wanson moving up to lap the tail end traffic with 3 laps to go. 2 laps as he goes past the judge this time, and it's still Hunt in second place with Puckridge, then Bray, and then Robbie Boyle, who was the pole sitter, but has slipped a little back through the field since then. The HK Holden is not quite able to match the pace of the cars up in front. It'll be the white flag out for Trevor Wanson as they come past this time, and the blue and yellow for the rest to indicate that they are being lapped, and let's hope that they do the right thing with the lap flag, because we certainly wouldn't like to see this dice for second place being spoiled by a lapped car. 1 lap to go as Trevor Wanson rounds it out around turn 2 for the second last time, and it's Wanson moving up to lap the tail enders. Puckridge is the next one through, and Hunt side by side as they squeeze past car 103 and car 69, and it's Puckridge that does better out of that and relegates Hunt down a placing, in fact, but the winner, no doubt about it, is Wanson. Second place will go to Puckridge, then Hunt. The next one through should be number 3, Phil Bray. Then Robbie Boyle will be the next one, car number 33. And the rest of the field were nearly all lapped, and we won't worry about their placings. I'll hand the microphone over to Frank Carmody. Obviously, there will be no race time on that race, but he can certainly give you the official...
Wanson on the victory lap at the moment. Give him a big hand for a great win in the number 6 Tirana.
Wilford off 2. 4 laps of racing. Wilford and Smee for Australia. Wilbur and Combs, and they got the green, and it's Wilbur puts a pedal to the metal as they go down the main straight into turn number 1. It's Ed Wilbur still holding it. Wilford up the high line. Wilbur almost loses it. Wilford does the right thing and backs off Combs through into third, and Smee bringing up the rear as they go into turn number 3. It's still Big Ed Wilbur. Have a look at the Speedway Cowboy coming back at him there, and they come off turn number 4, and it's still Wilbur. Rod Combs tagging onto the tail of Wilford as they go back into turn number 1, and is Wilford holding them back? Is this the team's tactics that they're going to use this evening as they go down the back chute? Turn number 3 is still Wilbur. Combs out with a problem. That leaves the 2 Aussies versus Wilbur. They haven't got long to do it in. Round they go in the main chute, and it's still Wilbur hanging on. Turn number 1, Ed Wilbur in the 21 car leading New South Wales number 1, Lawford. And have a look at Lawford up in the high line there, but it's still Wilbur. White flag being prepared, which will be 1 lap to go for the leader as he comes down the main chute, and it's still the big American himself, Ed Wilbur, with 1 to go. Wilford having another look at the line, faster into the corners. Wilbur a little bit slow off the back, and the Speedway Cowboy had to wash off some speed there to avoid a collision, but unless bad luck comes about him, it's going to be Wilbur as he comes around to receive the checkered flag. First blood to the Americans. Wilford over the line second, and in third place, car number 23, Gordon Smee. We'll wait for a race time.
Something came off Rodney Combs' car during that race down in turn 2. Not sure what it was, but Combs' car stopped like it had been shot there. And we'll cross to Frank Carmody in a moment, and we'll have a race time because the race was run a completed distance. A great win to Big Ed Wilbur in car number 1. Second place to Cowboy Lilford, who pressed him all the way but just didn't quite have the guns to pull it off. And Gordon Smee, once he saw that Combs was out, was quite pleased to just pick up the third placing there and stack up the points for the Australian team. The race time, 1 minute 16.04. 1 minute 16.04 to Big Ed Wilbur, and the American captain starting it off in a winning note tonight with 1 minute 16.04. The win, second and third placing going to the two Australians, Lilford and Gordon Smee. Off the outside, Pearson off 3 and Dyer off 4. 4 laps for the second heat of the Australia versus America sedan car test as they come around. The green's on display and it's Cartwright who jumps. Klein on the outside. Cartwright down on the pole line. Klein drifting it out wide. Dyer trying to get in the inside. Sticks his wheel in the inside of Klein's car and takes over second placing. It's Australia 1 and 2. Get out there on the fence and cheer for the Australians. These are valuable points they're stacking up in the early stages of the races. It's Australia 1 and 2 with Cartwright and Dyer. Klein and Pearson's car sounding not particularly good as they went past that time with 2 laps down. It's Cartwright and Dyer running 1 and 2, the local favourites, and Mike Klein looking like the only American that can do anything about it in this heat. Cartwright doing it beautifully in the Doherty Transport Corvette. Jimmy Dyer in the Dyer's Automotive Services Camaro sitting in his tail. Not worried about going for the lead at this stage, just making sure that Klein stays behind in the third placing, and this will, if they finish in this position, this will give Australia a big 5 points and the Americans only 1. Red flag out with 1 lap to go, and it's Cartwright leading from Dyer. Klein tries the big run around the outside. Dyer lets the car drift out wide and blocks the line off. It's Pearson now who moves up on the tail of Klein to see if he can improve the position, but I think the Americans have left it too late. And let's have a big cheer for John Cartwright, who wins the heat. Jim Dyer in second place. Third place will be Mike Klein, and fourth place John Pearson.
Put them together down the back straight there. What has he done? There's a great win to the Aussies running 1-2. Really give him a fix, and you've got to believe it. So that's the stuff they've got at Wollongong, is it? I better get up and yell. Well, that's great, folks, as Johnny Cartwright goes out into the centre field there, and equally as good as performance come from none other than his backup car, number 5, in the Australian team, in Jimmy Dyer. First time I've seen Jim run, Phil, and he looked... that's good. Very good. Well, let's keep it up. There's a lot of cheering left to go yet. And I tell you what, I've seen a lot of Australia versus America sedan car tests, and the team that gets out and gets the lead early is the team to beat, and the Australians have done that beautifully as we hand the microphone over to Ian Campbell to bring you Heat 3. Ian, the positions as they start, and the green flag about to be shown. Quick. Okay, that's the way they get a leader with Cartwright off the rear this time. Can he come through the field? Inverted grid this time, and it's Pearson that takes the lead in the 24 car. Sitting right behind him is Dyer. Cartwright holding third there, and we'll forget about the rest of the moment as they go down the back chute. Trying to clear right out of the boys at the moment is Pearson. He goes around into turn number 4. He's got about a 6-car lead at the moment, but Dyer desperately trying to get back at him. Johnny Pearson from the US of A as he goes around in turns 1 and 2. Gets a little bit high there. Dyer catching up 2 car lengths on it. Cartwright sitting back, prepared to block from the guy at the back. Still plenty of time left if the Aussie boys can get up, and you've got to give them some encouragement to do that as the American goes around with another lap down here at Wollongong City Raceway. Round in the turn number 2, we've already got a problem here with a 21 car of the American team. Had a hiccup as he came off 4, and he's out of contention. Pearson still the leader with 1 lap to go as the white is displayed. Into turn number 1 he goes. It's a clear out show this time. Dyer and Cartwright trying to get back at him, but he's gone onto that high line, hooked up and down the back chute, and it's going to be a win to the Americans unless something drastic happens. Around he comes through 3 into 4 and down the main straight, and it's car number 24 that takes it out here. Johnny Pearson from the US of A. Dyer into second place there, followed by Johnny Cartwright. And bringing up the rear of the field is the 21 US of A car, not looking too good. Phil.
No, indeed, you called it in 1, even though you were watching the racing in turn 2. I don't know how you picked that one up, Ian, but you were quite right. Big Ed had a big hiccup coming off turn 4 and lost a lot of ground, and he was just starting to look like he might put some pressure on Cartwright and Dyer. But anyway, a good placing to Jim Dyer. Boy, he really has hit his straps at the right.
Graham Lawford out there in New South Wales, number 1 off position 4. Looking good, Phil.
Yes, the Australian team is, we said in our preview of the event that the Australian team looked the strongest team that's ever been assembled against the Americans here in Wollongong, and I tell you what, they're doing us proud out there on the track at the moment. They need every bit of support that you can give them, so cheer and stomp and yell and holler. Believe me, they can hear you in the cars and they can see your arms waving. Give them all the encouragement you can, because we're sitting on a possible revenge victory by the Australian team here tonight against the Americans as we go over to Ian Campbell for event 4. No, we're still waiting. We've got a red flag. Ian, this is heat number 4.
Yeah, a bit of a non-event there as Mike Klein tried to get away from Gordon Smee, and it didn't happen. Stewart looking at him again for a restart. 4 laps of racing. That's got to be sudden death if you ever did see it. 4 laps to either make or break. Can the Aussies increase their lead? Sitting on 11 points at the moment, and the Americans on 7. And he take a hiccup. This time it's me. Cleared out, and wrong, Gordon. This is a cat and mouse game, a psych out session. You're going to get a guy that's going to clear out on the starter line, or he's going to sit back there and just try and psych the guy right up beside him. 223 cars off 1 and 2. Australia's own Gordon Smee off 1, and sitting right outside of him is Mike Klein. Okay, looking better this time as they come around. Racing, and it's Smee that gets the jump on him. Have a look at the cowboy at the back. He got a big slice taken off the front of his nose as it's Smee into turn number 1, through into 2. Klein holding second, through Wilbur third, and bring up the rear is Graham Lawford. Into turn number 3, it's the Aussie that's doing it well at the moment. It's Smee. It comes around into turn number 4 and down the main chute. Klein trying to get back at him at the moment, but not having any success. Gordon Smee knows the quickest way is the shortest way as he sits down on that pole line. Off turn number 2 and down the back chute. Into turn number 3 he goes. And it's still Smee. Come on, give him some encouragement because he's got a couple of laps to do it in. Around he comes again for another rotation at the Wollongong Speedway. He's clearing out on these guys. A great drive by Smee as he goes off number 2. Have a little off, and he's trying everything to get around. And Wilbur's left it. Through goes Lawford into 3rd place. It'll be a good score. He's after Klein. 1 lap to go for the leader. 1 lap to go for our own Gordon Smee. He goes into turn number 1. Round into turn 2. Klein's not going to get at him. He'd have to be stiff to lose it as he goes down the back chute and into turn number 3. Here comes the checkered flag. Really put it all together as Gordon Smee with another big Aussie victory. Gordon Smee for the win. Klein through into 2nd place. Lawford in the 3rd and bringing up the rear of the field. Big Ed Wilbur.
In the program, Uni Parts at Ferry Meadow, the Muffler Centre. Incidentally, if you haven't bought a program yet, I'd advise you to do one because you could win $100 worth of muffler work from the Muffler Centre. And no start this time as Klein tried to get the jump and wasn't successful. The steward saw it. As I was saying, you can win $100 worth of muffler work from the Muffler Centre if you have the lucky program tonight. So certainly if you haven't bought a program, it'll help you to keep score, and it also might get you $100 worth of muffler work at the Muffler Centre. So if you haven't bought one, I'd advise you to hot-foot it out there and get one. Okay, ready to get underway with event number 9. And the red flag being waved again. There's a little bit of nerfing going on between Pearson and Smee in turn 4.
Johnny Pearson down the pole line, ain't real happy about something. He's down there talking to the steward. Interesting to see what the situation is. Had his little say, and steward going over to speak to the clerk of course. No start, gentlemen, as they go around there. I'm just trying to tune in on the conversation down here, what's happened with Pearson coming round. Did an awful lot of quacking down there to the steward, and obviously wasn't inviting him for lunch. Goodness gracious me.
That's one time when it would be nice to be a fly on the wall, Ian.
Yeah, right, and Stewart looks undaunted by the whole deal.
Well, the chief steward has to be nobody's friend, doesn't he?
Comes under the information, comes under the book of useless information category, I think that one.
Certainly does, but we're ready with the green this time. It's Klein off the pole, Cartwright from the outside, then Smee and Pearson, and it's Klein that hits the lead with Cartwright round the outside. Cartwright tucked in second place. Pearson looking to move on Cartwright and reverse the points score that seems to be slipping away from the Americans at the moment, but it's Mike Klein in the lead at the moment, the California driver who drives stock cars and sprint cars as well as driving sedans, and comes out here every year with the American team and does his stuff with the American sedan car team. But it's Klein doing it beautifully at the moment, out in front from Antelope in California. A top sprint car driver, been racing for over 20 years, but he won't race that way as he spins in front of John Cartwright and leaves the field open for John Cartwright to take over the lead. A big loop in turn 4 from Johnny Pierce, from Mike Klein. Pearson is in second place, then it's Gordon Smee. Cartwright, the Aussie captain, leading him up into turn 4. Coming down to take the white flag with 1 lap to go through the cloud of dust left by Mike Klein as he spun that time. Gordon Smee, happy to stack up the 3rd placing. I was talking to the Australian team earlier on down in the centre field, and they said, we're happy to win the races and stack up the minor placings because that's the way you win test matches. And they're giving us a superb display of fine teams racing tonight as it's Cartwright who wins from Pearson. Next one through is Gordon Smee, the Australian driver, and the last one to finish, the early pace setter, Mike Klein, and another great win to the Australian captain in South Coast number 1. Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. A superb drive there to miss the spinning car of Mike Klein and go on and win the race, and that will mean a further points lead to the Australian team, which we'll give to you in just a moment.
Hey, sir, loves that high line, and we hope we can see some of his magic this evening. Lawford off 1, Pearson off 2, Big Ed Warbler off 3, and sitting right back on the end of the field is Johnny Dyer. Oh, really good for a start. Green flag ready. Will he let him go? No start. A little bit of humpo-bumpo coming round into turn number 3 there. Rear field guys were not up with it, and the steward wanted to give them a fair chance at the start. Looking good this time. Lawford off 1, Pearson off 2, Wilbur off 3, and Dyer off 4. Looking better this time. Green flag being prepared. Racing. Well, have a look at this. He's neck and neck into turn number 1. Pearson getting the better of it. Wilford settling back there to run the low line. What's the battle of the medal? Comes up right beside Pearson as they come off turn number 2. The 24 American car is our leader at the moment. Big Ed Wilbur trying to give him the old Yankee shuffle as they come off turn number 4. And our leader, first time around, is Johnny Pearson. Keep an eye on Lawford. He's not going to be disgraced this time as he comes back. It gets a little high coming off 2, but he's trying to line Pearson up for a big inside pass. Wilbur back there in that 3rd position, and Dyer, and at this stage not being able to make any impression on the 3 front runners. Another rotation of Wollongong, and out the front is the 24 car of Johnny Pearson from the US of A. Second place get at the moment, New South Wales champion Graham Lawford, and Wilbur, a bit of a hiccup there off 2, and he got off the pace for a moment, but's back into it. 1 lap to go for the American. He's cleared out. And it's a 24 car of Pearson going into turn number 1. Lawford making a desperate bid to get back at him. Off turn number 2, Lawford almost spins it around, trying to get it off harder. But it's the Yank with a fight back this time. It's Pearson as he comes off turn number 4. If he can hang on to it, he'll take the checkered. And it's Pearson. Second place was Lawford. Third place through was Big Ed Wilbur, and way back was Jimmy Dyer. Well, a bit of a turn up there. It was the first man in the corner that got the jump. Pearson took advantage of that. Graham Lawford tried a couple of different combinations of tyres outside rear and stagger this evening to get back at him, and he's going to have another go at it because he's just not getting that bite off turn number 2. James Bond stuff. Okay, we'll see if he's got his little oil leak problem all in gear there, so he won't be naughty Bob this time around. And who's leading us off the pole there?
Okay, well, it looks like Peter Gumley off pole in car number 79. Outside of the pole is Turner in the big old Monaro, and it's Maskell. Picked himself up one position before the flag even went there, and it's Gumley leading from Turner. Maskell is the next one through, and it doesn't look like he solved the problem with that oil leak because there's still heaps of smoke pouring out of that car. Okay, Gumley. This is a Division 2 Sedans repechage. Top 4 place getters for these transfer to the final. The others have already transferred by way of the heats. The top 8 positions in each of the 2 races have already transferred. So these drivers are fighting over the top 4 positions, which will see them transfer through to the final. And the driver in 3rd place at the moment is Dave Brown in the Tirana XU1. They're running 1, 2 and 3.
Have a look at Bertie Beetle as he comes down the main chute on the low line. He's looking good as he gives Gumley the bit of a go by as he goes into turn number 1. The 79 car trying to get back at him. He goes down the back chute. But it's a guy in a little Volkswagen just doing it all cleanly as he goes into turn number 3. Bertie Beetle out in front in car number 6. So that's my name for him anyhow. With Gumley running in the 79 car running second. Great big gap to 3rd place, which is the 71 car just going under us at the moment. And up into 4th spot at the moment is Wilson in car 61.
Right, well that's the first 4 positions as you called them, Ian, and it's easy to see that you're an experienced commentator because you've never seen these cars before and still call the first 4 positions by number and my name. That's great work, Ian. Tremendous. Maskell in the lead. The second one through Gumley. Then it's Brown, and Wilson has given up his place to Thompson in car number 79 now, and only the first 4 place getters transfer through to the final, as we said.
You got a car number 50 out there trying to get him my teeth in, trying to pull Mike and Mel away on. I'll get to that sooner or later. He's had a bit of a lose there, but it's not going to make any difference because there's 1 to go. They're on their final lap now. As we look at the leader, go down the back chute. Car number 6 looking good for a checkered flag as he goes into turn number 3, and around he comes. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together from a great big drive as the number 6 Little Wilksy goes right under us here at Maskell. Second place getter would go through to Gumley in the 79 car. Here comes our 3rd place getter and a valiant drive there in car number 71, followed by car number 8, a 61 car into 4th. Goodness gracious me, cars lapped everywhere. But what about the guy in the Volksy? Who said the VW had gone forever and ever? As I said, tremendous. John Cartwright out there in the Scruffy Donaldson car number 6, because that's the Jackie Hewitt driven car. John looks like he's going to have a bit of a gallop around behind the field. Great to see Brian Donaldson up and about here this evening, and we hope we see his smiling face down in Melbourne over the Easter period.
All right, Standard Sedans feature. Just a quick message. Sean Williamson, we've got your South Australian driver's licence here up in the tower. Sean Williamson from Midway Road, Elizabeth East. If you're missing your South Australian driving licence, it would be a long way to come back to Wollongong to get it. So we'd advise you to run up to the tower here very, very quickly and pick it up here. Green flag waves as they get away for the Standard Saloons feature, 20 laps from a rolling start. And it's Trevor Wonson who heads them out. Tony Puckeridge will be the next one through. Then Ian Hunt, who's putting the hard word around the outside on car number 55 at the moment, the Valiant. And doing it nicely too, as Hunt, who gets through now into 3rd position. End of lap 1. Sees Trevor Wonson in the position that we've expected to see him so often lately. Doing it very, very nicely out in front with the new Mitchell & Wanson's Tirana, and Alan Cormick at the moment having all sorts of troubles with turn 2, goes sideways straight in front of Fred Nicastri and brings Nicastri unstuck and brings himself into the fence again, and will cop a rear of field for that, I'm sure, at the restart.
Hope it's only an exchange of paint for him. He had a bit of a loop coming out of turn number 2 there, and a little bit of bumpo into the...
Alan Cormick just hasn't had a good night at all tonight. It's been a bad night for him. That's the second time he's been in the fence tonight, and the old AP5 just not percolating right. Alan, a novice driver, I think had his first drive at the last meeting, so we're not making excuses for him, but everybody has to learn their craft, and Alan perhaps thrown into the deep end a little bit, is been a little overawed with it, but we're sure that he'll soldier on and get up there. better and better as the night goes on. So it's Watson to lead him off from Puckridge, Hunt, Nicastri, who was very lucky not to get taken out in that accident with Cormick. And that's the first 4 place getters as they lead away, this time with 19 laps to go. With the Standard Saloons feature race, it's Watson leading from Puckridge, from Hunt and Nicastri, and then number 3, which is Phil Bray.
We got the 103 car just deciding to check out the infield here as he had a bit of a loop right down the main straightaway. John Cartwright coming there very, very cautiously with that $1 million race car.
Yes, and Boyden will rejoin the race at the rear of the field, which now becomes the front of the field, seeing he spent so much time on the infield. And let's hope he doesn't hold up the traffic too much. Watson leads from Puckridge, Hunt, Nicastri, and Phil Bray. That's the way they've been almost since lap 1. And the question is, can Puckridge make an impression on Watson? He's certainly being held up at the moment. He goes down for the pole line now as Boyden does an impersonation of a mobile chicane there, doing a Nelson Piquet, I think. But anyway, that certainly gets Puckridge back up on terms with Watson, but he's going to need to get the pedal down and get right up there, because Trevor Watson is just so fast around this track. That car is just so reliable, you cannot afford to let him have any breathing space at all. And this time Hunt elbows his way by Boyden. Nicastri follows him through in the gap that's left, and also Phil Bray as well, as Puckridge moves up to line up Watson as they go up the back straight with 15 laps to go.
John Cartwright just circulating around, trying all sorts of different lines in the USA 6 car there as he goes around in the turn number 2, just getting faster and faster and faster. And as I explained to you earlier this evening, John normally drives a right-hand car, as we all well know, and it's a all new ball game when you get over that left-hand side of the race car.
Yes, it certainly is. I see so many drivers when they're allowed to change over to left-hand drive who got changed over to left-hand drive thinking it was the hot setup, and boy, there was a lot of them who took a long time to get adapted to that. In the meantime, Watson slipping beautifully through the traffic, as we've seen him do so often. Puckridge goes high, then ducks down low, moves up the inside of the valley at this time, still in second place, still Hunt in third, and then Nicastri in fourth position, slicing their way through the traffic. Hunt round the outside, the Valiant down on the pole line, holding Nicastri up. Nicastri goes right to the outside. Phil Bray does well out of that to pick up quite a few yards, or should I say quite a few metres. I guess if we've got to go metric, we've got to go metric every inch of the way. But Hunt brings the whole thing unglued by spinning on turn 2, and that lets Fred Nicastri through now into third position. So it's Watson with 11 laps to go in this Standard Saloon feature. Second place is Puckridge, third place Nicastri, fourth place Hunt, and then fifth place Phil Bray. The Cortinas with the big 250 cubic inch engines really have the torque out of the corners, but Trevor Watson has just so much experience. As John Cartwright receives the black flag now and is asked to take the car to the infield, I would think mainly for his own and the car's own protection more than anything else. The driver's starting to lap, and so not to do any detriment to the drivers who are racing, and also not to do any damage to the car, Cartwright wisely pulls the 6PR car to the infield as Trevor Watson goes on his weeding way. We certainly anticipate that he will do that, barring mechanical trouble. I'd say that we're going to see Trevor Watson in the box seat again. Puckridge, the high line around turn 2. Nearly the length of the back straight now. Watson has a lead over the second place man, Puckridge. Third place is Nicastri, who's got to sort out his own dice with car number 102, and car number 102 does the wrong thing altogether and loses a wheel, a front wheel I think, in turn 3, and that will bring on the red light with 8 laps remaining of the 20-lap journey. 21 to Australia and 15 to America as we wind down the second half of the Standard Saloons feature. 9 laps to go as Watson leads them away. This could work in Puckridge and Nicastri's favour, Ian, because that's brought Watson back to the field a little.
Yes, well, it's certainly give the guys running in the minors there a bit of a chance, and this is where the race is at. between the first 5 cars as the leader goes a little wide off turn number 4 there, but the number 5 car just cannot catch up with him there. When the Cabby Auto Wreckers cars is trying to catch into the act there, but he goes very, very sideways off turn number 2. Have a look at that. Oh, thank you. And a bit of humpo-bumpo brings down the red off turn number 2 and another restart. Let's go, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Right, Stewart having a good look at him with the green flag in his hand, and he wants to get him away as soon as possible. All right, we'll see if he's under the good luck plan or the bad luck plan. The good luck plan is he's going to start. If it had been the bad luck plan, it's goodbye, Mr. Chips. Okay, no start this time around. Stewart said, "You're kidding." But don't take it away from Trevor Watson. He's out there really doing it well in the number 6 car, and Puckeridge beside him in number 5 is equally happy to do his little number as the black flag's pulled down on the number 3 car, who cops a sweet and goes infield.
And you can get the feeling that the rest of these boys who've been running up front tonight are rather anxious to get on with it.
They certainly are. Take nothing away from the first 4. It's been a great battle, and it's good to see these guys. Such close racing that we've become used to seeing from this division. Okay, looking good this time. Stewart just checking the track to be clear. Looking good for a start, Phil.
Yes, the green being held up this time, but they're not happy. They want them in 2 rows, and Watson, of course, is anxious to get out and lead again, which he was in before, and he obviously feels that if he allows Puckeridge any leeway at all on the outside of the pole line, he might get away.
You'd think George Tatnell's Winfield sponsorship was up for grabs here, the way these guys are getting into it, or maybe Noel Bradford's sheep station, but they're going to sort themselves out this time. I think they've got the message off the Stewart. Couple more times and he might even throw the checker down him and say, "Well, that'll teach you."
I've seen that done before today too, just quietly. Yes, I saw that done to a whole field of compact midgets at Liverpool Speedway last Saturday night at the Grand National. They wouldn't form up, and so the steward just hung the checkered flag and says, "Bye-bye guys, you won't play. We'll give the racetrack to somebody that will." Yes, the green is shown this time, and it's Watson leads away from Puckeridge. Hunt and Nicastri forget the rest because the action's up front, and the winner is going to come from those 4 who have been making the pace in Standard Saloons all night tonight. According to our look at the lap scorers board down in front of us here, there's 7 laps to go when Trevor Watson passes the black and white this time. Watson doing it nicely in the Wollongong Auto Wreckers car. Puckeridge in 2nd place in the Cortina, and still the Cortina's holding down 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and still some life in the old Fords. Nicastri moves up into 4th position now. I missed there was a Cortina missing out of that, of course. Phil Bray it was, so it's Toronto in 1st and 4th at the moment with a Cortina sandwich in 2nd and 3rd. Okay, it's the General Motors car that's out in the front at the moment. Car number 6 of Watson doing it well, pulling away from the car of Puckeridge, which is the 5 car running 2nd at the moment. There is a race going on for 3rd, but we'll keep our eye on the leader. It can't be a lot of laps to go. Leader into turn number 1, and it's Watson doing it really, really well. Little 6-cylinder Toronto percolating along as he gives it a big slam in the right pedal down the back chute. Into turn number 3 he goes, but have a look at Puckeridge. He's trying to get back an inch every time, and he's made up about a car length of the last 2 laps. He's got to put down faster times at the moment because there's about 7 car lengths between them as they go past the judges' box. And the big improver, Ian. The big improver is Nicastri, who's really giving Hunt a hard time now and could be looking good for a 3rd placing in this race. Nicastri may just have timed his run to perfection to stay out of the trouble and be ready to pick up the 3rd place sash when the race finishes. It's Watson with 3 laps to go. Run goes Watson into turn number 2 and down the back chute again as the 55 car does a loop. Safely on the infield though, we haven't got a problem there. 2nd place getter there, and we've lost one of them, Phil, as the red light's brought down. Yes, Nicastri a little bit over exuberant, try to stay on terms with Hunt there. Could be a declared race, we're just going to see what happens here. They've had a lot of restarts. But Phil, can Nicastri get up and get Hunt? Well, I don't know. This is what we're talking about, teams racing and how the great the Australians are at teams racing. Here's a teams race for you. Both of those cars are sponsored by Cabby Auto Wreckers. Well,
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and say no more. Yeah, moving right along. I'm very sure that the steward will be happy with the start as they come around. Green flag raised and it's dropped on the field. Away they go.
Oh, and Watson caught napping there, gets the pedal down now, but they were very, very slow off turn 4. It was almost like a fender bender's race at Granville to start there. They doing 25 miles an hour backwards, they were going so slowly, but it's Watson still leads from Parkridge. And Hunt and Nicastri desperate to pick up that third placing. Absolutely crawling all over the back of Hunt's car. If Hunt makes the slightest bobble here, Nicastri will have him, but Nicastri knows that the laps are running out, is trying for the outside line, and it's still a little bit slick around the outside there. He'll really have to use pole line if he wants to get by. And Hunt, an old stager, an experienced campaigner, is covering the line beautifully and just not allowing any room at all for Nicastri to get by. White flag with 1 lap to go, thanks Ian. And it's Watson from Parkridge, from Hunt and Nicastri. It's on for young and old, folks. Not many cars left running, but the ones that left running are the ones that matter. Off turn 4 comes Fred Nicastri. But it's going to be Trevor Watson who's going to pick up the win. Second place will go to Tony Parkridge in number 5, then car number 7, and Fred Nicastri takes the 4th placing with car number 69 and car number 103, the only cars left running at the conclusion of the Standard Saloons feature.
Okay, lap of honour for the winner of that last event, and please folks, put you know how many of these cabbie people are in this deal, or what's going on here? They lose a few and they seem to get more and more and more. They got a transporter for them out there.
I don't know, I think they're like rabbits that breed in dark corners, Ian.
Yeah, which reminds me of a joke, but we can't tell you. Bad luck. The 313 car pulling infield, whether he's got a problem. Also the 89 car, don't know what the hassle is. Ain't going to get a start, fellas, and you've got to believe that. Over to Phil.
Yes, that's a shame, because I was looking forward to see how Gary Rook would go in that race, because Rookie certainly drove well in the last race, and in fact I think in the Division 2 feature, if I remember correctly, at the last meeting, I'll just check my records to find out, in the Division 2 feature last meeting he finished 3rd to Peter Gumley and Margie Turner, but it's not going to be that way for Gary Rook tonight. Very disappointing, but Gary, just remember the old saying, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. Craig Head to lead him off in the Div 2 final. Off pole spot in the Doc Holiday sponsored EH Black Holden, and the green flag waves. John Borg in second place. Lee Smith is the 3rd place man at the moment in that beautiful Bolwell Nagari, and Margie Turner, the 2nd place getter in the feature last week, is running at about 12th or 13th position at the moment, as the big mover is Ron Murray in the Patterson's Transport car, number 29, picking him up and laying him down at the back of the field as John Borg goes to the infield. And we'll have to wait out until the field goes by before he can rejoin the field. Okay, so it's Lee Smith in the lead from Lannery, from Head. Car number 45, I'll just see if I can find out who that one is for you, is John Wise in the Wise Mechanical Services Monaro, brother of Stevie Wise, of course. And now Margie Turner gets on the gas in the supercharged Mini and starts to put in a few claims. It's Smith leading from Lannery, from Head, from Wise. The next one through is Visser. Ray Vidler is the next one. Rob Vidler is the next one through. Then Clive Turner. The next one through after him is Ron Murray. And leading the field at the moment, we've got John Cartwright in car number 6. Hey, wait a minute. Oh, no, that's right. Yes, never mind. John using the opportunity to have another run with the car. I asked him earlier on, actually. I said, are you going to buy it? And he said, heavens no, I haven't got enough money. And he wasn't smiling when he said, so I don't think he was having a lend of me. Certainly there is talk of some new machinery in the wind for John Cartwright for the 1984 season, and we'll keep you informed of that as soon as we know. You can rest assured that you will know too. Lee Smith on the march in the big Bolwell Nagari. Cartwright getting a hurry up from the stewards so that he doesn't hold up the racing. And it's Cartwright about to be lapped by Lee Smith. Ray Lannery is in second position in car number 23. The next one through is John Warrows. Margie Turner pulls them into the infield, so that's the end of her race. Craig Head is the next one through in car number 60. Cartwright getting the black flag now as he's starting to get mixed up in the racing, being asked to pull to the infield and stay out of the way of the drivers. Craig Head was the driver who I said was in fourth position, which he is. Clive Turner, the club treasurer, is the next one through in his Corvette, and he just has it coming together with Craig Head. And the next one through after him would have been Ron Murray and then Rob Vidler, but we've got a red flag situation for the spin involving Craig Head and Clive Turner, and we'll see which one of those, if any of them, get relegated to the rear. All right, well, we're just about ready to get underway. 14 laps remaining in the Div 2 production sedans feature race. John Cartwright going to have another couple of laps around in the Donaldson 6PR car. And the steward's not happy. The steward's not happy with the starting position, as well they mightn't be. They are straggled out all over the place, and hopefully this time that we will get them away to a clean start.
14 laps of racing remaining in this, the Division 2 production sedans feature. 6 laps down and 14 to go. Looking good for a restart this time. John Cartwright running around behind him a lap down for obvious reasons. He's sorting out the scruffy Donaldson car, and also he's not wanting to interfere with these guys running in their feature race here this evening. Just checking the computer statistics here at the moment, and we'll just give you a quick score there, but it looks like we might have a race start. No race start.
Ray Lannery is a little bit anxious to get on with it, I'm afraid, and the stewards aren't going to be happy to let that race go until such time as Ray has his gets his act together and stays back with the pack.
Naughty Ray, stand in the corner, Ray. Okay, we're just checking up, Phil, here on our point score. We've got Australia on 21 points and the US of A on 15, and more racing coming straight up after this event. How's it going to turn out, Phil?
Well, I've seen a few Australia versus America sedan car tests, and I tell you what, I've never seen the Americans win from behind when there was a gap of anything more than a couple of points. Now, I'm not trying to Jonah the Australian team, but 6-point lead, and they haven't got it by luck, they've got it by great racing, and I reckon that the Australian team's looking good for an even upwind tonight here at Wollongong City Speedway. Okay, you're underway with racing. This time the steward's happy with the event, and it's Lannery who leads them out from Clive Turner and Craig Head. And the big danger man, as I said before, coming up around the outside now, car number 29, Ron Murray in the Patterson's Transport Tirana, will be the one that everybody's going to have to watch. Rob Vidler is doing it nicely too, in fourth position. The 3 early place getters are still Lannery with Turner. Satisfied now apparently that he's solved the differential problems that he's had with the car over the last few meetings. He reckons that there's no way that the diff's going to move this time, and certainly the car hanging together very well and going considerably faster than what it had been at previous meetings. Craig Head has a wobble on turn 2, and that lets Ron Murray through into third position. McPhee gets caught up in that and loses out a place into Vidler. We'll have to try and get it back again. So it's Lannery from Turner, from Murray, from Craig Head, then Vidler, then Ron McPhee. And Clive Turner goes to the lead in turn in the back straight, holds that lead in turn 3. Lannery goes down to the pole line to try and hold him out in turn 4 and does so successfully, but one feels that it's only a matter of time before Turner guns the big V8 Corvette past Lannery. In the meantime, he's got problems because now he's got company as Ron Murray gives him a big nerf and sends Turner off. And I'm not sure whether there's going to be a stoppage for that one, but Turner certainly more sinned against than sinning there, definitely had help. It's Lannery from Murray, and that makes third place back to the VH Holden of Craig Head with 9 laps to go. Lannery in the 23 car, can he hold out the Patterson's Transport car of Ron Murray? Can Clive Turner catch up and make up the ground that he lost in that spin? Very doubtful. McPhee moves up to challenge Craig Head as the Patterson's car of Ron Murray starts to put the pressure on Ray Lannery down the back straight with 7 laps remaining. Lannery goes wide and Murray says thank you very much, and through he goes into the lead. So now it's Murray, Lannery. Head is the next one through, then McPhee. Next one through will be Vidler, then Gumley. Kansas next, and then Thompson, but you can forget them, they're well and truly out of it. Protest flag being shown to Ron Murray over the incident involving Clive Turner, but the race allowed to continue and the stewards will sort that one out afterwards. Race for third place is the only interesting one at the moment, with McPhee having a nibble at Craig Head with 5 laps to go as Ron Murray goes by this time. Still Ray Lannery in second place, Craig Head in third. Fourth place is Phil McPhee in the hatchback Tirana. Then it's Gumley who says to Vidler, if you're not going to go on with it, then I'll go on with it, and he takes Vidler's placing away from him. Ron Murray doing it nicely out in front. Ray Lannery, who's been there since most of the race began. Craig Head has a big wobble on the infield and comes out onto the outfield again, onto the track, but sensibly backs the car in. And of course Dapto you would recognise as being the home of Norman Gunston.
God bless Norman, we don't see much of him, aren't we lucky?
Yes indeed. Well, that's interesting. Clive Turner's been brought back up to third position, and I think that's a fairly sensible decision by the stewards. All right, 6 laps to run, 5 laps to run, my apologies, and it'll be Ron Murray to lead off from Ray Lannery, Clive Turner and Phil McPhee.
Looks like a great motor race, Phil.
Yes, it certainly does, and it's not over yet. Lannery jumps to the lead, doing it nicely after Murray. Murray it was that held the pole, and Lannery took a beautiful flyer off the pole there to take over the lead. So now it's Lannery, Murray, McPhee and Turner, and we have got a race on our hands with only 4 laps to go. Thank you. Div 2 Sedans feature race has been 20 laps, and it's going to go right down to the wire, let me tell you. It's Lannery leading from Murray. Next one through is Phil McPhee. Murray goes to the outside, McPhee to the inside. It's still Murray trying to get by Lannery, the lead that he held early in the race, and Lannery's got it, collared it back off him on the restart. Now Murray goes down the inside and does what he did to Lannery once before. Lannery gets right out of it this time and rejoins in about 6th position. So it's Murray back into the lead with McPhee in second and Clive Turner in third with just 2 laps remaining in this race. And that may be the way that they finish as the steward reaches for the white flag. Ron Murray in the Patterson's Transport Tirana in the lead. It's Murray from McPhee, from Turner, from Gumley, then Vidler, then Borg, and you can forget the rest. Craig Head was one of the stars in the early racing, but that spin has put him right out of contention, and Barry Keynes is giving him a hard time at the moment. But it's going to be Ron Murray who's going to take the black and white for a good win in the Div 2 feature. Second place is going to go to McPhee, then Turner. The next one through will be Gumley in number 79. Then the next one would, after him, would be Vidler in car number 40, and then Borg in car number 74, and that's the way they finished in the Division 2 Production Sedans feature. 20 laps seemed like a little longer than 20 laps, but it was packed with action, especially those last 4 laps with Ray Lannery and Phil McPhee and Clive Turner and Ron Murray all over each other to close that race off with the win going to number 29, Ron Murray.
These people down at turn number 1 there, give him a big round of applause as he comes under. Goodness gracious me, determination. Couple of stoppages, sorry about that, but that's motor racing, and we're going to get right on with it with event number 13 coming out in just one moment. The Grand National Sedan Challenge, 4 laps of racing, rolling start, and none other than John Cartwright. Rod Combs looks like getting back into it. Gordon Smee and Johnny Pearson. Boy, Melbourne's adopted John as their second son. You've got to believe that, you Wollongongites. And of course it's great to see those Melbourne companies behind him in Speed Pro Engineering, and of course that big national in Armstrong Shockers. Okay, it's Dyer off 1, Combs off 2, Pearson off 3, and Smee off 4 as the green flag goes down. And it's good, looks like Rocket Rodney Combs into turn number 1. Behind him is Dyer. Pearson holding in the 3rd place, and holding 4th at the moment is Smee. Combs screams away with it. The carburettor sucking juice like mad as he goes through 3 into 4 with a clean pair of heels by 6 car lengths to car number 2 at the moment, which is car number 5 for the Aussies and Jimmy Dyer. Leader still, car number 22. What a remarkable comeback this is for Rod Combs. Waving his arm at the window to the mechanics to say, I'm okay, buddy boy, it's all happening. Rodney Combs is our leader as he comes around in another lap here at Wollongong and into turn number 1. Combs must be close to the track record here, but he's slowed off dramatically off 2, gets the power down, he's slowing Combs as the other 2 have a bit of a hiccup, and have a look at Smee through into 3rd. There's a fight back by the Aussies. The cameraman's gone mad on the infield with 1 lap to go to Combs. But he doesn't look like he can get it down as Dyer tries to close on Combs. 3/4 of a lap to go. Can Dyer get up there as Combs slows? But Combs finds horsepower again with a red light down. It'll be declared. It'll be declared. We'll just see what they want to do. Pearson brought it down on turn number 4. Goodness gracious me. Looks like it might be declared in those positions. We're just waiting for confirmation from the... Yes, the race has been declared. Oh, Big Ed Wilbur. Now I can explain the situation to you. There'll be no start. Big Ed Wilbur has jumped out there into that 4th position. One lap is what's going to be run. Now let's explain the situation carefully here. Pearson has gone to the infield with the 24 car. Wilbur has substituted himself. What an act. The guy's trying to cheat. Naughty Eddie. Yeah, stewards are going to tell him to get your butt into the infield, baby. Here's Big Ed. He's been called other names. What the hell you doing, Ed? Give him a raspberry, boy. Geez, really trying to mix up the works here and playing Ed's rules. Stern words from the steward. POQ Ed, that's pass on quietly. What do you think about that, folks? Wilbur's setting himself in to run for a guy who's out. Must have some American fans right by me here. They reckon it's top stuff. Now, under Ed's law, God said on the 7th day, Ed, if one of the cars go out, you must go in. Ed's running under the Unhappy Act syndrome here at the moment.
Well, of course, he's partly right. Substitutions are allowed, but not during the running of a race. And the race will have to complete its last lap without the 3rd American car, the 2nd of the 2 American cars.
Well, won't this be a boil over if either Dyer or Smee can give Rodney Combs a fix? We're about to find out. Down the back chute they go. Rod Combs running off one in the 22 car from the US of A. Outside of him, car number 5, Jimmy Dyer. And running in third position, the 23 car of Gordon Smee. Looking good for a start this time. Started with a green flag. They're racing. Round they come, and it's Combs. Big bite down the main straight. Car's length between him and second place as he goes around there. Gets a little bit sideways, but gets it all down the ground as he comes off turn 2. Rod Combs leading this away. 2 laps according to the steward is what's to be run. They took it from the last completed lap, so he's got 1 lap to do it again. Round goes Rodney Combs. 6 car lengths is the breakaway distance between him and car number 5. That's Dyer, and running behind him by 2 car lengths as Dyer loops it. Goodness gracious me, Smee's just hanging on to it. Dyer have to go back there. He'll still get the dollars if he goes back for that third place as Rodney Combs takes a checkered flag. Great drive by Combs. Smee through into second place in the 23 car, and bringing up to the third position after that loop off turn 2 is Dyer. Okay, points, Australia. 2 for second and 1 for third, and the 3 big points go to Rod Combs.
Event 14, heat number 8, coming out onto the grid now.
Combs will be happy with his performance, Phil. Point of the infield there, and he's got a smirk all over his dial, so he's got whatever his problem was well rectified as we look at the start of the event number 14 of the Grand National Sedan Challenge.
24 points, 1 minute 13.1 was the race time, as it's Klein who leads from Cartwright and Lilford, with Big Ed Wilbur in fourth position, about to be in third position as Lilford has a half lose in turn 2, and that puts the Americans in first and third position. That's 3 points each as Lilford has a tap at the way of the rear of Big Ed Wilbur's car. In the meantime, Cartwright on the march, up in second position at the moment and really putting the pressure on Mike Klein. Mike Klein drifting the car wide, almost committing the car to a loop, and Cartwright doing everything he can to try and get by. Lilford loops the car in turn 4, and it remains to be seen whether he can get it started. The red light's been thrown, and we've got a restart with 2 laps remaining.
Boy, is Wilbur getting fair dinkum about this particular difference in points. He's out there driving like a man possessed. I seen him go under Lilford off turn number 2 there, and he was going to take the whole side out of his race car if he had to do it.
Well, in teams racing, it's devil take the hindmost, as they say. And Big Ed Wilbur, I'd say he must have a feeling that he's staring down the barrel of a defeat here. I don't think there's any doubt about it. The Australian team is running hot tonight. They've had the measure of all of the Americans so far, except Rodney Combs in that last heat. And I'm just wondering if Combs may not have come back just a little too late to stem the tide with a 6-point advantage to the Australians. Australia looking good, but they've still got to keep stacking up those points. There's a feature race to come up where the points are 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 and 1, and you've got to be there when the flag drops. The green flag about to be waved this time, but the steward's not happy with the fact that Klein and Wilbur had stolen the pole line and left Cartwright and Lilford floundering, and they'll be sent around to do another lap before the green is shown.
Don't forget, racing back here again on the 9th of April. It's the South Coast Limited Sprint Car title, together with the Sedans and a great big demolition derby. That's the 9th of April. Put it in your notebook now.
Looking a bit better this time as Cartwright and Lilford come together coming off turn 4 and leave the Americans sitting in first and second position. This is bad for the Australians. At least one of the Australians has got to get up there and displace Big Ed Wilbur, or the Americans are looking at a 5-point to 1 dressing down of the Australians in this heat. It's Klein from Wilbur, from Cartwright, from Lilford, and Cartwright's car not handling well. White flag will be displayed this time with 1 lap to go, and it's displayed to Mike Klein, who leads from Big Ed Wilbur. Third is the Australian captain, John Cartwright, and fourth is the other number 1 car of Graham Cowboy Lilford, the New South Wales champ. But it's going to be Mike Klein who's going to win it. Ed Wilbur will be in second place. Third place will be John Cartwright, and fourth place will be Graham Lilford. It's being done still on Pearson's car, and I guess if Pearson substituted for Combs in the early heats because Combs' car was damaged, then I guess what we're going to see is Rodney Combs substituting for Johnny Pearson in the second half of the program. But at the moment we're waiting for one American car to come out and join the track, because at the moment we haven't got one.
Couple of minutes of time put on the Americans. They've got to get that affected in that particular period of time, or we're going without them. So that means it'll be all up to Rocket Rod to do it all. Clark, of course, out there at the moment talking with Gordon Smee in the 23 car, representing Australia. Also car number 5, Wollongong's own Jimmy Dyer. Rocket Rod sitting on position number 2, hails from Lost Creek in Virginia. Okay, here's the other competitor coming out right at the moment. It is Johnny Pearson, car number 24. Rodney Combs substituting for Ed Wilbur as per program. This is event number 15 of the Grand National Sedan Challenge. 4 laps rolling start and looking good at the moment. The sequence at the start. Dyer off position number 1 this time. Can he do it? But watch Rodney Combs. He's the start specialist. There'll be a bit of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more as they come around with the green flag in the starter's hands. The Aussies have got to keep up with the score this time, although it could be all right out the bacon, and it's Jimmy Dyer and Rodney Combs. Have a look at the acceleration of Combs' car as he streaks into the lead round turn number 1. Dyer holding second, Pearson holding third, and Smee sitting at the rear of the field. The 22 car's out a leader from the US of A, and Rod Combs as he peels out of turn number 4 and down the main chute. Dyer holding the flag for the Aussies high, holding second place. Pearson in third, bringing up the rear is Smee. It's still Rocket Rod. Half the length of the straightaway between him and Dyer now in the number 5 car. The 24 car from America holding third, that's Pearson, with Smee just waiting to knock on the door. Here's a charge here at Pearson. Get very untidy off 4. He tried to take Smee out with him, but it didn't happen. A lap and a half to go for Rod Combs as the white flag's being prepared down here on the main straightaway. Have a look at Combs. He's really just playing with these guys at the moment. He's back to his super fast best. Dyer in second place, still leading the Australian contention as the 24 car of the American Pearson looms up right behind him, and Smee won't be getting near Pearson running last. Quarter of a lap to go, and here's the checkered flag being prepared for car number 22, Rodney Combs. Another big win. Car number 5, Jimmy Dyer holding up the Aussie flag well, and in third place, car number 24, Johnny Pearson from the US of A, followed by car 23, Sydney driver Gordon Smee.
1 minute 16.4, the fastest time on that race. Combs, as you said quite correctly, Ian, just playing with him in that heat, no risk about that. Got himself a lead and then was just steering through the quarters, wasn't even bothering sliding. And starting off pole, he's going to be awfully hard to toss. Let's give the Australian team a big cheer, because they're really going to need all the luck that they can get now with Combs, Cartwright, Lilford and Klein starting off position number 4 as a green flag waves for event 17, heat 8. And it's Combs into the lead. Cartwright in second place, cops a nudge from Klein but rides it out beautifully. Now Lilford takes the low line and goes past Klein in turn 4. Klein closes the door again and spins straight in front of Lilford, and out onto the infield he goes. Rodney Combs in the lead. John Cartwright in second place. Third position is now Graham Lilford, and the Cowboy in third position applied tremendous pressure to Mike Klein, and Klein wilted under the pressure. We got a restart, but the restart should have Johnny Pearson starting, Mike Klein starting from position 4.
I'll stand corrected, but Phil can answer me this one. Was the red light applied When Pearson spun, was it applied a lap later? Is in fact Pearson 1 lap down?
We'll have to wait for a clarification from the stewards on that one, but my impression is that Pearson spun without Klein spun without help, but it looks like what they've decided to do is completely restart the race, because he's back in Klein is back in 3rd position, and we've got a repeat performance of that particular race. We'll wait and see what the stewards decide about that, but it's Combs leading from Cartwright, leading from Lilford, and Klein's car all over the track, spins in turn 4 again. So no red light this time, we would hope, because certainly Klein has done it to himself on both occasions without any help whatsoever, and to my way of thinking, there is no need for a restart of this particular race. So it's Combs who leads from Cartwright, and Lilford. The white flag will come out at the end of this race, at the end of this lap, and Klein, sitting on the infield, will have to sit it out, as we expected that he probably would. So it's Combs who takes the checkered flag. Second will be Cartwright, and third will be Lilford, and that's the way that they finished in event 16.
Well, great effort by the Aussies this time. They got in there in 2 and 3, kept them still in the ball.
John Cartwright has hit the lead in the individual point score on our computer screen over here. Cartwright now leading from Rodney Combs, who's got up to 9 points. That's not bad, 9 points, that's 3 wins, and he didn't get any points in the first series of heats.
Just going down the statistics here, we've got Cartwright on 9, Combs and Pearson on 9, Smee and Dyer on 7, 3 of them on 6 in Wilbur, Klein and Lilford, and that's the way it goes, but no start this time. No start. Just going through those again. John Cartwright leading the individual thing on 10 points. This comes straight from our computer up here in the tower. John Cartwright on 10 points, Rod Combs on 9, together with John Pearson. Gordon Smee on 7, also Jimmy Dyer. Ed Wilbur on 6, together with Mike Klein and Graham Lilford. 3 on 6, 2 on 7, 2 on 9, and John Cartwright from Wollongong leading the individual point scores on 10. 1 point in front of the rest of them. Okay, looking better this time, but no. Wrong Rodney. Rodney Combs. It's back to the old sight game, and it's Combs off position number 2. Inside of him, Gordon Smee.
Smee, Ian, would be one of the most experienced drivers I've seen it going slowly in the corners to cover the line. He really is brilliant at slowing right down and stopping the driver behind him.
Okay, looking good for a start this time. Starter happy, and away they go. Test of acceleration, and it's Smee into corner number 1. Gordon Smee leaving from Rocket Rodney Combs. Klein in the 3rd place, and John Cartwright bringing the roll of the field. Have a look at Combs, and have a look at Smee, fighting back well there. Taking the low line, not going to let Combs get under him here, and has a challenge down the main chute. Gordon Smee leading it for the Aussies. Get your hands together, because he's doing it well at the 23 car as he comes off turn number 2. Combs at him again on the high line. Smee down. There was great technical drive here by Gordon Smee, and have a look at Cartwright hammering away at Klein there. It's still Gordon Smee. The 23 car, the man from Sydney, doing it well, with Combs trying every little which way to get around him. White flag being prepared as a lose. Great drive, Cartwright. There's one for the Aussies. Round comes Smee with a lap to go this time. Can he hang on? 1 lap to go for Gordon Smee as the red light's brought down. You've got to believe it. No comment. Klein stuck himself out there on the number 2 turn. Left the steward with no alternative to bring down the red to save any hassles. Gordon Smee would be about as happy as a brick in a dunny at the moment.
Of course, all these cars are fitted with starter motors, Ian, and they can start up and move quite easily when they need to. But evidently Mike Klein couldn't find where the starter motor was that time.
Yes, that comes under the spun around act, I suppose, but never mind. Okay, they'll take it back with 2 laps to go, I dare say. 2 laps down, 2 laps to go. No start, no start, no start. Little bit of tactical manoeuvres there as Combs trying to make that big outside dash. Gordon Smee seen what he was up to. Backed off. Johnny Cartwright giving Gordon Smee a little bit of a bumpo in the butt there, but no damage done to either party.
And you'll see, you had a good opportunity of seeing what I meant there when I said that Smee is an expert at slowing down in the corner and making the other driver behind him slow down as well. He was doing that absolutely beautifully to Rodney Combs that time when he was in the lead.
Just psyched him out again. Gordon Smee coming down to the line to have a word with the steward. Indicating with hand signals, he's asking him to slow down for the start. And of course, in the rules of racing, the pole line, the pole man makes the pace. Pit crew's just coming over to check. There's a bit of panelling on the near side rear quarter panel of Smee's car, looking a bit precarious at the moment. John Cartwright desperate to get back into the thick of things. Okay, looking good for a restart. Smee this time. As he outfoxed Combs, that's Smee in the car number 1. Combs on the high line goes around Smee. They're back at it again. Smee under Combs. Pedal to the metal down the back chute. Who's first into turn number 3? Combs forcing Smee up high onto the high line there. Combs with 1 to go. Romps into the lead. Well, I've got my own opinion there, but never mind as Smee loops it. He's pulled the Aussies right out of this one the wrong way. Rodney Combs coming round to receive the checkered flag again. Second place going to be John Cartwright. Klein through in the third and Smee bringing up the rear. Well, I've got my own opinion.
Okay, heat event 18 it says on the program, but this is heat 12, which is the last of the heat races. We've got 1 heat race to go, this one, and then a final where the points paid 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. And it'll be John Pearson to lead off from pole line with Cowboy Lilford on the outside, then Jimmy Dyer, and the last one will be Big Ed Wilbur, number 21, the American team captain, going off position 4. Pearson tries to take the jump there and does so successfully. And it's the Australians sandwiched in second and third position at the moment, with Big Ed Wilbur putting the heavies on Jimmy Dyer and doing so successfully too. Up in turn 4 they go, and it's Wilbur who squeezes through into third position. Wilford now in second, and Dyer relegated to 4th. Americans sitting on 4 points at the moment, with Australians only sitting on 2. Wilbur holding Dyer up now. Dyer spins. That's the end of the section as far as he's concerned. Tail hanging out over the edge of the track, I think, and they'll bring on the red for a restart.
I've only got one comment to make on that particular incident. What is good for the goose is good for the gander.
And my comment, right on.
Jimmy Dyer bringing down the red, looping in on turn number 2. Just the start of the back straightaway there. Rejoining his position, we'll see what the restarting posses are as per grid, I'd say. And interesting little happening at the moment. Wilbur getting very aggressive there. The 21 car, Big Ed. Okay, looking good for a restart.
And the green waves, and it's Pearson in the lead from Lilford and Wilbur. Lilford on the high line. Wilbur tries the low line. Lilford nearly gets himself T-boned for his trouble, and Big Ed Wilbur goes into second position. This time, the other Australian team member responsible for bringing on the red light.
New South Wales champion, car number 1, sitting over there on turn number 3, Graham Lawford, was forced that little bit high into turn number 3 there with nowhere to go. Got up into the skatey marbles, had the big lose, just a great piece of driving, got him out the way of Jimmy Dyer, who was coming around like an express train behind him. So it's Americans running 1-2 at the moment. Johnny Pearson leading the brigade, and Big Ed himself running 2. Lilford restarting. Anything you can do, I can do better was the name of a song once. No more comment about that.
That's for sure. Those super trap mufflers on the side of Johnny Pearson's car glowing bright red with the heat of that super engine in that WRC Formula car. Boy, I tell you what, there's been a lot of good chassis out to Australia this year, the Gigolos and the Bullets and the Tri-City buggies, but the WRC cars have swept all before them so far this 1982-83 sedan car racing season. The green flag waves with Pearson leading from Big Ed Wilbur. Third place, the local favourite, Jimmy Dyer. Oh, big Wilbur from Wilbur, and Dyer takes him through, and Wilbur takes him into the fence. And Jim Dyer, the red flag comes on, and well, how did you see that, Ian Campbell?
Well, it was terribly unfortunate. Wilbur had that big lose. Jimmy Dyer become entangled with him, and I hope there's not a lot of damage. It looks like just a plastic nose on Jim's car. Hopefully he's all right. We'll just keep an eye on him there at the moment. Mechanics rushing around to see.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, support the sponsors to support the racing. Doherty's Transport and the other firms that have put together the racing for you tonight.
Well, there speaks it all. Lilford may have done a front end. We're just having a look. Well, rotten luck for the Aussies. Lilford's car sitting up there. He's pulling off his helmet, throwing it down in disgust. The Speedway Cowboy got a real problem there in the front end department.
A little bit of baiting going on here. I think this is what Big Ed Wilbur said. He said that if they started Cartwright off 1, he'd start Combs off 2. And it looks like the way that they've got it worked out here, Smee was supposed to go off pole. He's sitting there with his hands in the air saying, hey, what happened?
Yeah, well, maybe it's the John and Rodney psyching out show, I don't know. Just looking at Cartwright's inside rear wheel, looks a bit strange from here. Whether it's a problem or not, I can't see, but something doesn't look right about it. Can you pick it up with the binoculars there, Phil?
Yes, he's dented the rim all right, Ian. Quick to notice that, but yes, there is a dented rim on that, but the wheel still seems to be running true, so I'd say that John will be prepared to run it like that. Just hope that the tyre stays on the rim. Of course, they don't run much pressure in them these days, too.
The only guy that is absent at the moment is Jim Dyer. We've got the binoculars on him. They're working feverishly to get the car right. Dapto clutch and brake car being attended to by many willing hands there. I can't see exactly what they're working with. The bonnet's off the vehicle. Halfway down the main chute here, about 4 metres infield. Just from my own personal point of view, last year, a blonde-headed guy from Wollongong in a pretty tired-looking red Corvette come to Melbourne, wearing number 44, and Street and Strip, I think, by memory, was on the side of the car. That little guy went through the scrutineering and had to go and weld an extra roll bar in it. Couldn't even get a trailer to go and get it welded. So very sneakily, the Corvette made its debuts on the roads of Laverton. John come back with that extra roll bar welded in by request of the ASCF stewards in inverted commas. He raced his way through the heats. He got disqualified in one and had to cut it in the repechage with a bunch of desperate racers. John Cartwright won that repechage. and started off rear of the field in the 1982 ACF Armstrong Castrol National Saloon Car title. I, as a Melbourneite, are proud to say my own biased comments about the running of this year's title, but by gee, he done you Wollongong folk proud by blitzing them in Adelaide in the final round. Would have to be the unluckiest guy I ever seen in the heats, drawing rear of field positions consistently, and actually crashed out of the first round at Avalon. It's a bit of a proud moment for me to be here tonight at his home track as the guest of Alan Doherty and John to watch him race against Americans tonight. By gee, you Wollongong people, you're a lucky bunch. Great speedway, great races, and a great night of motor racing.
Yes, it looks like we're going to have to do it without Jimmy Dyer. The green flag waves, and it's Cartwright into the lead from Wilbur. Pearson is the next one through. Then Gordon Smee, Cartwright up the inside of Big Ed Wilbur in the WRC car. Pearson is in third placing. Then it's Gordon Smee, then Mike Klein, then Rodney Combs, and Cartwright into the lead as they pass the checkered flag the first time. Lilford's car sounding like a bucket of bolts, so I wouldn't expect too much from him. It's Cartwright leading from Wilbur, from Pearson, from Smee. The Australians looking good in the minor placings. But don't forget they're racing one car down against a full team of Americans. And it's Cartwright doing it nicely. Lilford spins in turn 2.
No restart for Graham Lilford. He's having all sorts of ignition problems there, or timing problems. It's bad luck for the Speedway cowboy. One of the most dedicated guys you'd ever meet in a day's march in this great sport of oval track racing. He's finally got the car started, does the gentlemanly thing, allows the field to go through under him. Placings at the moment, John Cartwright running in first, behind him is Wilbur. 24 cars sitting right behind him of his fellow American teammate, but it's the first two that I'm watching at the moment. But where's Rod Combs? Don't know what their idea of a restart is. I just want to see here whether it's going to be in twos or Indian file.
Combs was doing well, but Smee is the one who's been the surprise packet, and I think Gordon Smee has probably been saving just a little bit.
Okay, officials down on trackside checking the placings at the moment. We'll see if it's a complete restart. Looks possibly to be that. Lilford still sounding a little bit rough as he goes underneath us here. John Cartwright off 1, Wilbur off 2.
And Cartwright will have to do all that hard work over again, I'd say. He certainly had Wilbur taped there, but it looks like he will have to go back and do it again. And 8 laps to go by the lap chart down in front of us here. This is the final, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The first 6 places pay only. Green flag waves, and it's Cartwright. Heads it out from Wilbur. Down on the pole line he goes. Wilbur tries the outside line, but it's no good. Combs has sneaked his way up into second place to third placing. Now it's Pearson who gives Cartwright a big serve down in turn 3, but John's equal to it as he withstands a marvellous challenge from the Americans, who are now running second, third and fourth with Smee in 5th position. Wilford's car not going well, unfortunately, and this time Pearson goes to the lead and Cartwright relegated into second position. Still a lot of racing left in this. It's Johnny Pearson out in front now. Wilbur having a tap at the tail of Cartwright's car. Rodney Combs in 4th place. Then it's Gordon Smee. Only 7 cars running, but only 6 places pay. Cartwright holding up a big freight train at the moment. Wilbur nearly cooks it going down into turn 2. Gets the front end pushing very, very badly, but it's Johnny Pearson who's absolutely running away with this at the moment, and Cartwright holding up the rest of them.
Johnny Pearson's our leader in the 24 car, and he Cartwright coming around there, and he's trying to get back at Pearson. Wilbur, half a car length behind him. Rodney Combs just sitting back there waiting for all to make an effort. Followed by Gordon Speed up the rear of the field, Mike Klein. Leader, car number 24, Johnny Pearson looking good at the moment. Gets going again and pulls out about a 6-car lead from John Cartwright. In third place at the moment is Ed Wilbur. Followed by the 22 car of Rodney Combs. Gordon Speed behind them and rear of the field, Mike Klein. Leader still, the 24 car with 1 lap to go this time around. 1 lap to go for the Flying American out in front, and it looks like an American victory here. With pass, 1 lap to go for him. Cartwright being passed by Wilbur. Goodness gracious me, Americans running 1 and 2 with half a lap to go to the chicken. Chicken flag raised now. Cartwright's out of it completely. It's Americans 1, 2 and 3. It's a washout. Pearson, the checkered flag. Wilbur through second, followed by Combs. Smee into 4th position, followed by Mark Klein and John Cartwright. Don't know what he's done.
Come on, Ozzy, come on.
Wow.
Come on, Ozzy, come on. Come on. Come on, Ozzy.
Pearson just going around again to make sure it's on.
Come on, Ozzy.
Cartwright with a problem of some description running on that high line around there in the Doherty transport car.
Together, Big Ed Wilbur, he said he came here to win. He said he didn't want to go back to America having lost the last test, and you did exactly that.
Yeah, we had a real good night out here. I thought at first when we lost one of our cars that was going to have trouble for the night, but we came back, as soon as they got him back together, and the car run good, and I don't know how they still figured that last race out, but it came out in the end all right, but it should have been my fast man up front, their fast man up front. You'd have been a lot more faster racing that last one.
Yeah, well, that's right. I don't know about that. I just sit up there and call the races, Ed. You'll have to work that one out with the guys in the guys in the club. But it turned out that the race went pretty well the way that you expected it to go anyway.
Yeah, well, Pearson was fast. That's why I got him up second front, so it's all right. I think Cartwright would have been better, but he just couldn't afford any more fuel. The poor fella ran out of fuel, and all he could say was, give me a push.
Okay, well, we were supposed not to say anything about that, Ed, but you being a gentleman, you wouldn't be able to pass up the opportunity to rub it in now, would you?
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, could it? Everybody here loves him, and that way he ran out of fuel. Remember, kick in a little money. Help that man buy some good fuel, will you?
Okay, Ed, well, accompany the American team, and as I said, the losers can cry and the winners can please themselves. Rodney Combs, Mike Klein, Johnny Pearson, would you like to come over here, please, while we shake your hand and congratulate you? That was certainly a great night's racing tonight. Rod, congratulations. Trouble with the car, but you came back stormed through the last series of heats without being beaten, and that was really great racing.
Yeah, the track was pretty good tonight, and all the guys run good, and just want to thank Doherty Trucking for having us here, and, you know, maybe everybody come back and bring some more people next year. We got 2 shows here, so want to thank him for sure for having us here.
Okay, Rod, well, many thanks, and the best of luck on the trip back to America, and we certainly look forward to having you back here because you guys are gentlemen race car drivers. Mike Klein, a good race tonight, stacked up the minor placings all the time and helped the team to a good win.
Yeah, we had a heck of a night. The track was good. Everybody had their little problems, and we enjoyed ourselves tonight. I've got my car for sale if anyone wants to buy it. Give them a good deal tonight. And yeah, we appreciate everyone that helped us.
Okay, Mike, well, we certainly appreciate having you here. And the winner of the feature race, I haven't left him to last for any other reason apart from that. John, you certainly pulled out a corker in front of your second home crowd tonight.
Thank you. It's kind of fun to win in front of my home crowd. It really is. Well, it's fun to win any time, but the competition was good, so that makes you feel better about it too, you know.
And John, you're happy with the racing? It was all racing in good spirit, I thought, tonight.
Yeah, it was good racing. You know, everybody was, you know, trying hard and all that, put on a good show. I hope everybody out there enjoyed it, really.
Okay, John, well, congratulations on winning the feature race, and congratulations to you and all the American team. We trust you have a good trip back to America. God bless and look after you while you're away. We hope your racing efforts in the States are crowned with the same success, and we certainly look forward to having you and Ed and the rest of the guys back here again in the 1983 season.
All right, thank you, and I'd like to thank Alan Doherty for putting the show on, and all you folks for coming out to watch.
Okay, thanks. Some last words of wisdom from Big Ed.
If they all want to see this kind of racing again, I believe we're going to try to run here next year again on a Friday night. If you hear about the Yankee team, USA team, come on out and watch.
Okay, Ed, thanks very much. The American team, give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Professional race car drivers in every respect, and they certainly show their professionalism here tonight. The losers, well, let's have them over here and let's talk to them. We don't want to rub salt into the wound, but we want to hear how they felt from their side of it. The captain of the Australian team, John Cartwright.
Phil Hall, just while you've got Rod Combs there before he runs away, off the computer, he has broken his previous lap record with 18.575, which was below his 18.2. So Rod Combs has broken his own record again.
Rodney Combs, you might be interested to hear that. You've broken your existing lap record, 18.175, so Rodney Combs remains the visiting American team driver with the fastest lap in a sedan car around Wollongong City Speedway. I'd like to see if I can prize my way through the crowd of autograph hunters here to see if we can get the Australian team captain over here, John Cartwright. Can you come over here and have a word with us, please, and bring the rest of the Australian team with you? Ladies and gentlemen, Wollongong's favourite son, Johnny Cartwright. John, just not quite fast enough on the night.
No, I ran out of fuel.
What a pain, eh?
Yeah, I thought we had enough to do tonight, but when Ed passed me, that I started running out.
John, the team ran great in the heats, and it was really looking good, only 2 points down for the feature race, but with Jim having trouble with the car, I guess that weakened the team a little too.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, you got to expect these things. Them other guys are professionals, and we're all workers and that. We only do this weekend for a bit of sport, but we've got to get better.
Oh, that's fine, John, and I don't think you should be ashamed of the effort the Australian team put on tonight, and I think you led by example all the way, and it was great to see. And Frank Carmody, I'll have to check with you afterwards. I'm not sure whether this is right or not, but I think that this was the closest that the Australians have come to winning the test match while losing, apart from that one test which Australia won. I'll check with you about that one anyway, Frank. John, commiserations, and we certainly hope to see you going around here against the Americans when they come back, and I understand I'll be here twice next season.
Yeah, so I believe, yeah.
Okay, can we have the rest of the Australian team over here? Jim Dyer, Gordon Smee and Graham Lawford, can we just have you over here for a minute, please, just to have a talk to you, ask you how you felt about the racing? Graham, a long way from Newcastle for not very much reward, I'm afraid, mate. You just didn't seem to have the car just didn't seem to do the right thing for you tonight.
Yeah, that's right. It's a long way to come, I suppose. We had some problems. I'm not making excuses, but those things happen. You know, if a tyre comes off and the motor doesn't run properly, we've got to go and fix it for tomorrow night, so we won't be staying very late.
Okay, well, we won't hold you up very late anyway. Many thanks for your effort on behalf of the Australian team, and we certainly hope to see you down here again at Wollongong. We had Ron Brewer down here not so long ago, and he livened proceedings up, and we'd certainly like to see some more Newcastle drivers down here at Wollongong.
Yeah, well, certainly I can talk to them and see if we can come down, maybe have a match race with the new Wollongong guys, something like that. That'd be good.
Well, it has been done before, and we certainly would like to see it done again. Okay, thanks very much. Cowboy Lawford, ladies and gentlemen. The second favourite son of Wollongong, I guess I'd have to say, Jim Dyer. Right when you needed the car most, it let you down, mate.
Yeah, it was going good up until me and Ed had that little coming together over on the back straight there, and since then we just run out of oil pressure. I don't know what it is. I think it's just a broken pump. That's all I hope it is anyway.
Okay, Jim, well, you certainly showed that you're capable of running with the best in the world tonight, and another year of practice and racing and a new car up against the Americans next time should be really great. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Dyer, and last but very definitely not least, the man who really put the spark in the Australian team tonight in that beautiful number 23 car, Gordon Smee. I thought we had him for a while there.
Yeah, for a while there it looked pretty good, but we give it our best shot, but the Americans were just better on the night, and I'd like to congratulate them on their fine win. I'd also like to thank the Wollongong Club for having me down here in the team. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thanks, Gordon Smee. Ladies and gentlemen, the Australian team, John Cartwright, Jim Dyer, Gordon Smee and Cowboy Lawford, gallant in defeat, and we've certainly enjoyed bringing you the race meeting tonight. I'm going to cross back up to my co-commentator and our guest for tonight, Ian Campbell from the Melbourne Speedbowl, to wrap it up and let you know what's happening at the next meeting.